You're just one woman with one asshole. Mm-hmm. All right. Much to talk about. Boy, you want to talk about changing times. I was watching the Frank Sinatra documentary last night on Netflix. I think
two-parter?
it was. Yeah, I just watched the first part. It's an interesting doc, no doubt about it. But I love the stories from the days of yore, especially how the men and the women interacted.
Different.
So, Frank had his wife was basically his neighbor who lived across the street in Hoboken or wherever he grew up. And, it's just the way people used to do it. I don't know. He was 18, she was 17 or whatever. They met.
Proximity.
They just got married, And then Frank became Frank.
Right. Francis became Frank.
That's right. He was working a little, singing a little, but then it took off. And as it took off, she's like Italian, neighborhood, raise the kids, stay home. He's, go out and have some martinis and buy a fancy watch and enjoy the fruits of his labor. And some of those fruits were other women.
Ava Gabor.
Yeah.
The fruits were in the looms.
Yeah, Ava Gardner.
Excuse me.
But Maeve had a Gabor.
They got them both.
Nancy Barbado.
So, right. So at some point, he'd go out on the road, he'd do whatever he did, and then he'd come back, make nice with the family.
Sure.
And here's the part I was interested in. He got a new Cadillac convertible. He took her, Nancy, for a drive. At some point, his wife opened the glove box and noticed a fancy diamond bracelet.
Oh, boy.
Which she thought was for her.
Surprise!
Yeah. He never said anything. And then later on that night, she saw one of his lady friends wearing the diamond bracelet. So she then confronted the lady, told her, she was a homewrecker and to get out or whatever the party was. And then, but here's the part I like. Then she confronted Frank, and Frank said, "You need to apologize to her."
Oh, my.
Oh, yes.
Bold gimmick.
Oh,
wow.
Yes. Oh, yes, indeed. Yep. Different time, right?
I'm trying to figure out the logic, I guess. You want to blame someone, blame me. Don't blame my lady friend.
He's a man of manners.
Sure. Etiquette.
Yeah. I don't know how much logic. Whatever logic factored in was 1948 logic. Different kind of logic.
Right. The back of my hand logic.
Right. So I thought that made me laugh.
Good for him.
Chris Maxpata tested positive for COVID. He feels fine, according to him.
Get your black suits ready.
But he's staying home, and I don't think he's going to Portland either.
Oy Vaismere.
Oh.
So he says he had, I think, the sniffles. He said, I don't know. We can zoom him in and ask him how it's going over there from the home studio. Walk us through this journey, Chris.
All right. So last night I was doing some Christmas shopping and I felt like I had a little cough. Like it was just like a single cough probably every 5 minutes, reminiscent to Zoolander coughing in front of his dad and when he had the black lung. Yeah. So it was just like the wussiest cough ever. And then and I felt just not 100%, like a little feverish. So I would say about 90 to 92%. I'm solid, but I know Brian's there. I work in small quarters with Kaylin and Dawson. I thought, okay, I'll get tested on the way in. So I'm driving to work and I stop by CVS, get one of those at-home tests, and I'm driving and I test it in the car, and it gives me a line. It says if there are 2 lines, you're positive.
You're pregnant.
Yeah, and pregnant. And the line was so faint, I could only see it just if I tilted it, at certain angles. But in the manual it says even the faintest line says you're positive. So luckily that pack came with 2 tests. I tried it again, and same thing, just the faintest line. And then I went to another CVS and got a different brand just to make sure.
It's like pregnancy
and
tests.
Yeah, exactly. And this one was just for sure you're positive. So technically I had 3 tests that said I'm positive. So I just turned around and went home. And as I said, as you said, I feel fine. I don't even have the sniffles. I just have a slight cough and just slightly feverish. And if this were 2 years ago, I would not have thought twice about it.
Well, thanks for not trying to kill Brian.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, so you feel fine, positive. I'm guessing it's the Omicron that you got that they say is
Me too.
70 times more transmissible.
Oh, shit, I thought it was 7.
Delta. No, I think I heard 70 times, but much less virulent. So hopefully that'll be our way to herd immunity. You were double vaxxed, but you didn't get the booster yet, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And
But I mean, this is as mild as it gets. At least right now, I hope this is the worst it gets.
Well,
but
and they even said on the news, the hospitals are buckling under the strain of patients. Oh, by the way, those are still Delta patients mostly.
yeah. So I think this variant seems to be a mild one, and again, maybe it's a lot of people think it's the way out of this thing. All right, but no Portland for you either, right?
Chris is holding steady.
Devastated.
I was about to say we had a pretty good line to him. All right.
I think the airline would frown upon him getting on a plane.
Yes, I think they would as well.
Are we in the
I can
hands of Mike
confirm.
August?
Oh, shit.
I can confirm Chris's tickets have been canceled.
Oh, okay.
He shan't be joining you.
All right. No, you
So-
don't have to use that language. Say he's not going. All right. So latest from the COVID corner over here at our Adam Carolla show. We got you don't need to get Chris back on. I think we're caught up with him.
If I may, Dawson and Caitlin are pretty low pulse anyway, but I wonder if they're concerned at all, just being that they're in basically the booth with Chris a couple hours every day.
I think.
Oh yeah.
I think
No.
Dawson is pretty fearless. on
Zero
this
concern.
Account.
I am a little bit concerned only because after the show yesterday, there was some leftover macaroni salad in the fridge that Chris was eating, and I thought, you know what, that looks pretty good. I think I'll have a forkful myself. And so, yes, I am a little worried now.
Did you share the fork or did
No,
you just
different fork.
double dip?
Different fork.
But from what I understand, I'm no doctor, but isn't it more about breathing air particles and not the stomach acid killed that, Caitlin? It's fine.
I sure hope so.
I think mac and cheese is a vector for transmission, at least the
Specifically.
last time I checked with the CDC. So we'll be able to look into that. All right. Brian, something struck me. Brian ran into some traffic. There was an accident on the 405. I had the same thing on PCH the other day.
The PCH.
The PCH too, only to find out that once again there was a small rear ending. By the way, let's just do the math on the light taps on the rear ending. PCH is basically crowded from the Santa Monica Pier to the Malibu Pier.
At all
Yes.
At all times. People are now on their phones most of the time. And the natural tendency is people get stuck and they go, all right, I'm going to text a restaurant or I'm going to text whoever or I'm going to catch up on some light reading or whatever it is. And so invariably, there's these light rear ends, these rear endings that are happening all the time. So this one car had the hatch, sort of pushed in a little bit, but both people out of the car, standing at night, closed one lane
On a craggy cliff.
Everyone is now bottlenecking. Just pull over. Just pull over. Pull over for your safety and for the convenience and safety of everyone else who's coming up on you. There's a shoulder another 100 yards ahead. Just pull it over.
If the cars and you can move, pull it over.
By all means.
Just wish that was part of the messaging. That's all. And for the love of Christ, we've got to do whatever the campaign is. It's either get vaxxed or click it or ticket or whatever's going on with the kids. We got to get the right turns figured out in this motherfucking town. People just camped out. They're not turning right. The signal's red. There's no cars coming. I'm honking from 4 cars behind. There's a shoulder lane that'll let you merge. It's like they're not going anywhere. Everything is backing up. Just turn. It'd be easy to convey. Just turn. Like people don't know it. They don't do it.
Well, Malibu especially, they're all effectively tourists.
Well,
At
yeah,
least
but
half.
this is the entire city.
Oh,
this
they're
is
talking about
citywide.
Malibu,
Well,
yeah.
Malibu has an entire lane dedicated to you zippering in, you merging.
Right.
They still won't turn in,
Doesn't
even though
solve
they have a
anything.
lane provided. But I mean, when I leave this studio in the middle of Glendale, it's like someone will be stopped, the light will be red, no cars will be coming the other way, and they're not turning. So I give a toot on the horn, and they do a move that actually infuriates me, which is oftentimes they'll then pull up
Creep up.
about 4 feet into the on-deck position and then stop again. Like, first off, that's the position you're supposed to
Right.
be in. Turn. I don't know why it's not. I mean, I know it's not messaged because it doesn't have anything to do with safety, but it would get things crack-a-lacking around this town much faster. I mean, could you imagine the utopia if there's just two things? You turned as fast and safely as you could from the right turn lane on a red or not. Just turn. And if you got in a little fender bender, you pulled off the shoulder. Just those two things.
Open up the freeways.
Of just the effect it would have on traffic. All right. Speaking of traffic, I'm curious if you think this is as sad as I think it is. There's sad forms of transportation in Los Angeles. We see the gardening truck that's beat to shit with all the equipment in the back. I see there's guys who recycle the big wooden pallets.
Right.
Those
Right.
things are 2 stories high and strapped down with bungee cords. I always feel bad for that guy.
Sometimes there's bags of leaves and grass trimmings that look like Mickey Mouse ears.
Yes.
Coming off these
giant,
trucks.
Sometimes they just build a giant shark cage in the back and stuff as much shit. But this one I find to be the saddest. I don't know why, but I find it to be sad. But maybe there's a silver lining here. Maybe it's uplifting
Lay
to
it
some
on us.
people. To me, there's nothing sadder. I passed a Nissan Murano yesterday, but it was a convertible Nissan Murano.
Big time.
And actually, I need one with the top up because this guy had the top up, and for some reason it was sadder. But what I'm saying is Nissan, cheap, $21,000 cars that you then went and bought in the convertible form
Live a little.
always feels sad to me. I don't know why. There was a Geo Metro. Cameron, was there a Geo Metro convertible? It's the smallest little piece of shit 3-cylinder rinky-dink car, but they made a convertible. And those cars get the saddest the fastest because when you have a convertible, you need a garage.
Sure.
The ones where you're parking on Hollywood, in your apartment in
That's
Hollywood,
the trouble.
they get broken into, they tear the thing, they put the duct tape on
This
there.
isn't a homeowner's car.
It's sad. It's sad. And I don't know why, but then there's another part of me that goes, that person is living.
I was going to say, that guy's like, I own a convertible.
yeah.
Right. My thing is the convertible's another $6-7 grand sometimes. Step up to a BMW 3 Series with a hard top on it.
Or by
that's
all
2
means,
years
a
old.
Camry.
Or a Camry. But I
This
don't know.
is-
So do we find these people sad or do we like these people?
Sorry, that picture's funny. I think
We're looking at the Murano with the thing. First off, certain cars were built to be convertibles,
Yeah.
like a Jag XK-R, where XK whatever, fine. Other cars were convertibilized, which looks like, Gina, you have a lot of these in your neighborhood when you walk. You see those traditional valley kind of ranch houses, and they just stuck the master bedroom on the top floor.
boy did they.
It's just a
It's
giant
a ranch
box.
with a box.
It
yeah.
looks like someone took a
Yes.
giant Lego, and just lowered it down
Yes.
on the roof.
From another set.
Put one big aluminum
Yes.
window, and one big face of stucco, and you go, that is not part of the architecture of this house.
Yeah.
Somebody added that on, and it just looks exactly like what it is. I feel that
Yeah.
way when you try to convertibilize a car that shouldn't be a convertible.
No, that makes perfect sense. And whoever owns these convertibilized little mobile shit boxes is terrible with money because there's a real dignity, a real quiet dignity to having your Geo Metro, and maybe it's your first car and you paid it off yourself and you understand what is within your budget. you clearly don't understand what is within your budget, and you don't have any taste.
I had a
Wow.
You know what I mean? It's like if you're just
Both
out of
barrels blazing.
but
Go,
if,
Gina.
if you're just out of your budget, then maybe you get a Mustang convertible or something. You know what I mean? Like this is the X and Y. What am I saying, Brian?
Diagram, the axis.
The axis of no taste and no budget.
I had a roommate, a horrible roommate for a while, and she had a Geo Metro 4-door,
Oh, luxury.
but it's a 3-cylinder car.
Oh my God.
And I said, you have more doors than you have cylinders. What you want is the 2-door Lamborghini with the 12 cylinders.
Right.
You want
You're going
that
the wrong way.
ratio to
Yeah.
go the other way. Maybe even had a hatch too.
Oh,
So
boy.
we'll make it a 5-to-3
5-door.
ratio. All right. The other thoughts that I had was funny. I had a who came by here, Dawson? Was that Matt from the Lodge?
Yes.
Yeah, Matt from the Lodge.
King
Alaska.
Salmon Lodge.
Yeah, he was out here from Alaska, dropped off a bunch of pies and a bunch of goulash. Dawson helped himself to one big container of goulash.
Out of Chris's mouth.
Like a little baby
Like a
bird.
bird.
I told Dawson, don't let this pie or this chicken go to waste. But the goulash,
I thought you were talking about the goulash.
that's why I trucked it into the fridge in its own Tupperware. But either way, as long as he made good use of the goulash, I'm
I
fine.
sure did.
I made good use of the goulash, and I ate the goulash last night for dinner.
Was it potato or noodle?
It was, the potato isn't the potato. That's the no kettle. Those are the dumplings.
Oh.
The goulash, make the no kettle. That's just flour and water and
Right.
egg or something. But pour it over that. But if you have to, do the egg noodles. That'll be fine. I was sitting there eating goulash, and I was watching Curb Your Enthusiasm, and they did a whole goulash thing.
Really?
Yeah, him and Jeff Garland went to go recommend to a restaurant. And they're just sitting there, and they're going, "Oh, this is the worst goulash I've ever had." While I
Wow.
was sitting there eating goulash.
A common staple food around LA. It was bound to happen.
Hilarious food.
Yeah, it's a funny sounding food.
so weird.
That was weird that I was eating goulash while watching Larry David hate goulash on television. Also, we have I told you I was worried 12 years ago or so about the meek inheriting the earth, or at least doing all the security, everything. I started noticing it in this town when all the minimum wage guys were in charge of parking, and they were the guys who ran the parking lots like Nazis, and they were yelling at
Or like in
everybody.
the
And,
building or the elevator.
yeah, and it was just this notion of like, I was having a lot of these experiences. Like I got invited to go to the X Games and be a guest at the X Games in LA and watch the car drifting competition or whatever it was. And I had my laminates and stuff. And we were running late, and I walked to the line, but I was on the other side of one of those cement barriers. The ones that are like 3 foot tall, and
Like
they
the
had
median.
them spread out every like 2 feet. And I walked right to the front, and there's nobody in line or anything. And I said to the security guy, "Can I just come through here and go through the gate?" And he's like, "Go walk around."
Go around.
And I was like, "All right, just step right here." And he's like, "Nope, go." It was kind of like, you know, when you go to the airport security and they have the whole serpentine
Yeah.
rope set up, but there's nobody in there.
Right. You better
so
walk
you go, "Why don't I just walk under
No.
2 of them, and I'll go right to the metal
You're gonna
detector."
get
Like,
tased.
"No, go, dude. Hey, rat, get in the maze."
Yeah.
And this guy was just looking at me, just going, "Walk down 100 yards that way, turn left, go forward 2 feet, and then walk back to me." And I was like, "Oh, I'm standing here with my VIP laminate." And he's like, "Hit the bricks." And it started to dawn on me that taking dumb, angry people, paying them almost nothing and putting them in charge is kind of the gatekeepers for everything. It's not going to be good. And so I told Chris, "Why don't you grab that clip from minimum wage Gilded Cage
He said, "No can do. I have COVID."
that I was looking into, that I was stumbled onto, 12, 13 years ago when I was writing this." So we'll play a 2-minute clip of the audiobook.
We built a minimum wage gilded cage. Let me explain. We made a mistake in this country that's going to rank right up there with slavery and Japanese internment camps. We deputized a bunch of minimum wagers and placed them in every guard shack, behind every counter, at every gate, and gave them carte blanche to fuck with us. We're essentially prisoners in a penitentiary that we paid for. And what the fuck has our society come to when people armed with windbreakers and name tags can fuck with us so fucking royally? We pay their salaries. And what's that instinct to dig in over nothing? She's taking a moral stand against my daughter, enjoying her afternoon. Another quick sidebar. That thing where you just fucking dig in, like, you can't leave the theater without your ticket stub. I've just got to run out and grab to the car to grab my wife's sweater. She's freezing. Once you leave, you can't come back in. The car's parked right up front. You can watch me. Sir, once you leave the theater, you can't. Here's a Rolex Submariner watch. It's worth $10,000. Hold on to it. I'm going to walk right over to the blue Celica. You watch me. Why, sir, why are you digging in? I used to teach fucking comedy traffic school, and they would tell me all the time, hey, man, if somebody shows up 10 minutes late, you have to keep them 10 minutes after school, and if they show up 20 minutes late, they have to do work during lunch, and if they show up a half hour late, you have to send them home. People would fucking waltz into my class 20 minutes, an hour and 20, 2 hour and 20 minutes late, and you know what I would say? Sit down. What do I give a shit? I don't give a shit. I'm getting paid, the school's getting paid, you're getting your fucking certificate. You went through what? You rolled through a fucking four-way stop sign 6 months ago? And now I need to be your probation officer? Sit down. What do I give a fuck? What is that thing? I know you don't feel good about yourself, but why does making me miserable make you feel better about yourself? How about you get a job without a fucking jacket with your name embroidered into it? Perhaps that would be a better way for you to feel good about yourself.
Well, there, the very prescient
Well said.
Adam Carolla. All right.
The guy with the Submariner is worth more than his car.
I
know.
knew that's what you were laughing at.
I don't have either one of those items, by the way, the car or the Submariner. I was traveling around in Corona, like I said, last weekend, and I was dispatched by my daughter to go get her a sandwich. And I had the Quiznos order, but if I couldn't find a Quiznos, I had the Subway order. And was I telling you the pastrami out of the pastrami, or no longer carrying the pastrami story?
I don't think so.
I don't think it's a good sign. First I went to what I thought was the Quiznos, but it was the Jimmy John's.
Jimmy John's great.
I know. I said, Jimmy John's is awesome. We'll go there. And I pulled in, but it was like at 9:45 in the morning, and they're not open until 11. But I did spot the sign in front of the Jimmy John's, which I think we'll share with you because they're hiring now. But they're only hiring rock stars.
Wow.
Rock stars are wanted to make sandwiches at Jimmy John's in Corona.
Wow.
Save that for Shooter Jennings and Jason Boland.
And I was saying, well, don't tell them there's an opening. They'll relocate.
Yeah, they'll fall over themselves.
Cancel
fighting.
those tour dates in Europe. We're going to the Jimmy John's in Corona. It said Jimmy John's on top, and it says rock stars wanted. We're hiring. Now, I know this, I'm fine with calling the lackeys that work there team members or something.
Sandwich artists.
Euphemistic or something. I think we've crossed the line when we're getting into rock stars at this point. And also kind of, if you're applying for the job at the Jimmy John's in Corona, obviously you're not a rock star, but you're probably not the version of rock star. Like when you go, oh, that guy does some of the best computer coding around. That guy's a rock star. Or that guy's the best TIG welder this crew has. That guy's a rock star with the TIG. Like, no, you're no kind of rock star.
Literally
you're no
or
version.
figuratively.
Right? There's no version of rock star that's going to work on you. But I also started thinking, I guess this is part of the self-esteem movement where we all have to just kind of pretend. But my feeling is, and it's always been this way about the self-esteem movement, whether you're a D- student and we're calling you something other than that, or whether you're working making sandwiches at the Jimmy John's in Corona, we can call you whatever we want.
Sure.
You're still there.
Right.
It's basically my premium comfort plus on the airplane. You call it whatever the fuck you want. I'm still sitting in coach with a hummus box on my lap. You call it whatever.
No.
Here we are.
No.
But let's just change herpes to happies. Well, okay, right? Problem solved. We'll come up with something good for AIDS or cancer. We'll come up with a happy name for a fun name for
like
cancer.
That. I like that.
Okay. You're still stricken. You still have it.
Right.
You're still fucked.
Yeah.
This is where we're at.
Dark, happy masses.
Yes, that's what we should call tumors.
Well, and I really do think that Subway got the jump on these guys years ago because that was the punchline. They were called sandwich artists.
Oh, right.
You slap a couple of tomatoes and some shredded lettuce, and you are an artist.
I was thinking about a couple things. So then this place was closed, and then I hustled over to find a Subway, which opens at 9. And because I got a girthier crew that goes in there. And there's a woman who's fine. It was in kind of a rough part of the neighborhood and didn't look, the clientele was a little scary. And I walked in and I said, she wanted a pastrami. By the way, pastrami, mustard, and pickles. I was like, wow, that's my girl. That's a zesty sandwich. So I said, have the pastrami and she's mustard and pickles. And she went, okay, the beef. And she did something that was scary to me. She got an ice cream scooper out, was scooping beef, like shredded up beef. And I was like, no, pastrami. And she goes, the beef? And I said, no, I'm looking for pastrami. And she went, oh, we don't carry that anymore. Now,
Since the last woman?
She didn't say we're out of it. She said we don't have it anymore. But it made me think of the clientele.
Right.
That's not in the middle of Fairfax
Not
with
Jews.
all the Jews. Like this is a non-pastrami town.
Right.
I bet they dial in their menu a little bit to how much pastrami we move, and I'll bet they're moving more on the west side than they are in Corona.
Did you say pastrami al pastor?
Yeah, it struck me as a bad sign that not a lot of pastrami. But I was, well, let's see. I got a spot. We got shooter. I wanted, let's play Waylon Jennings. Give me a little Dukes just to set the table. Because
yes.
Shooter, I think Shooter's first name is really
Alan Arkin.
What would the real life version of that guy be like? The guy was kicked out of the seniors' homes for being a little grabby and was snorting heroin on the road. Like, what would that guy really be like?
Not a delightful
What would the
rom-com
real
character.
Uncle Jesse be like from the Dukes of Hazzard? You know, just running some shine and getting some crossbows loaded up.
I loved him. He's so charming.
I did. Oh, yes, but what would the real version of that guy be like?
Well, I don't think there's a bigger chasm of Uncle Jesse's between Dukes of Hazzard and Full House.
Oh, right.
That's the full spectrum of Uncle Jesse.
I'll give you the full spectrum of Wayland's.
I'll give some full spectrum of Cooters. You first.
I realize spelled slightly differently, but Waylon and Madam versus Waylon Jennings.
Who's Waylon and Madam?
The puppet.
Oh, you'll know Waylon and Madam.
We've talked about Waylon.
We've
and
talked
Madam.
about
Oh,
Waylon.
yes.
Thank you very much.
He had a, I don't know, fruit fly,
Big compliment.
ventriloquist.
Well put.
Thank you very much. It's wonderful to be back here in New York, Citois. Oh, God, it's been a while. Here at
Big
Reno
opener.
Sweeties. Now, you may have noticed, Waylon is no ventriloquist, and I am no fucking dummy. Now, without out of
He
the
would
way,
just sit
I'd like to
there
tell
in
you,
the dark.
Since I've seen you last, I've been on a lot
Put
of
the
things.
spotlight
Been on Andy
on
Williams,
this.
Been on Don Ho, and I've been on Quaaludes.
It's like Elaine Stritch.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
he's
Lane
shaking
Stritch.
out there in L.A. I'd rather be quacking than quaking, I'll tell you.
All right.
I would pay real American dollars to see that show.
Yeah,
I like that.
I think Waylon Flowers, not Jennings, Flowers must have been claimed by AIDS at some point.
Oh, you go with Waylon Smithers.
Oh, yeah. Another Wayland. All right, let me tell you about Simply Safe. Want your home to feel safer? No better time than now this week. Our friends at Simply Safe are giving Adam Carolla Show listeners access to their holiday deals, 40% off. This is a great company with a great product. You do not have to pull wires. You don't have to hardwire anything. The batteries all last 10 years. Peel and stick up and running in half an hour. All the cameras have rechargeable batteries for indoor, outdoor, so you don't have to go out and, again, pull wire to it. Best home security of 2021 by U.S. News and World Report. Customize a system for your home in minutes online. And their biggest discounts are going on as we speak. Just over $100, you can get your house up and running with Simply Safe. No long-term contracts or commitments. Supplies are limited. Take 40% off at simplysafe.com/Adam. That is simplysafe.com/Adam. Yes.
Two things about Wayland Flowers. One, 1988, died of an AIDS-related cancer.
What?
Wow.
And
A dark, happy mask.
Flowers inspired the first name of Wayland Smithers, a fictional character on The Simpsons who later came out as gay. So applause to you both.
The legacy lives on.
Right.
All right. We'll talk to some ball pullers out of Portland, and we'll do that right after this.
So this is August, the stoned pelican hit the buffet before him, or he'll leave you with none. Oh yes, it's Mike August, the world's cheapest man. Stole the toilet paper from the hotel can. His name is Mike August. He's the world's cheapest fuck. He'd sell his own grandma for a couple of bucks. His name is Mike August. Stole his brother-in-law's shoes. Such a penny pincher. People think he's a Jew. Merry Christmas, Mike August. That's who the song is about. He'd be pissed if he heard it, but he's too tuned out.
Oh, one of the best parts of the holiday season is listening to beautiful holiday-themed songs. All right. I don't know. Gina reminded me of a joke that I never tell on stage, so I might as well tell it here. But when you were talking about sandwich artists, I had this joke. It used to gross everyone out, so I stopped telling it. But it was basically went... I feel bad. Like the people whose jobs, like there's a good job, people I feel happy for, and then there's the sad job, the people I feel bad for. And I've always said being a mover is a bad job because you move a whole mansion, but you chip one end table and it's a disaster. But no one ever compliments you. No one goes, "Whoa, who put that love seat there? That's beautiful." So in that vein, on the good job side was the guy who did the spotting at the cheerleading camp. Because all he does is wear a black T-shirt and black sweatpants and stand just behind the pyramid of hot chicks and literally stare up their twats.
Right.
He would not be doing his job if he wasn't staring the entire time.
I always have that funny conversation where the guy's looking down or checking his phone and not looking up the skirt of the hottie that's on the top of the pyramid, and he's fired for not looking. For everyone else would be fired for this, for what he's going to be fired for.
Right.
Which is, or what he needed to do. So anyway, in that vein, I was thinking about worst job, which is porn star makeup artist. which is they're an artist. I mean, they're called makeup artists. Fine. And and I feel bad for them because in their world, what they're doing is applying their art to the face of the porn star. And I said, it's no different than like a fine artist. Like, what if you just sat down and you got your easel and your canvas out and you put a bowl of fruit down and you painstakingly painted this bowl of fruit and you sat there for all this time perfecting it. And then at the very end, a black guy with a huge cock just came in and just jizzed all over your canvas, because that's the exact same thing.
It's a one-to-one
It's
comparison.
no different.
You're right.
It's no different if a
As
guy
hot
just
as that
burst in
would
your
be,
studio
yeah, it'd be
and
ruined
just
your
big
work.
throbbing cock and just
Disrespectful.
all over your bowl of fruit. You spent so much time working on. You know what I mean? I think it's about the same.
I think you need to dust that joke off more. That's a good one.
All right. We got Diana and we got Ruzbeh. Ruzbeh is from Iran, and they want to pull some balls over there in Portland. Ruzbeh?
Yes, sir. Get it on.
What's going on? You moved here at age 7?
Yes, I did. Yeah, age 7 with my family in 2000, and it's been a good time ever since.
How is it that your parents were able to move when you were 7?
Well, I don't know if you know this, but everybody's trying to come to America, apparently. And they were on the wait list for like 13 years. He was on the wait list. And you have your brothers or uncles, whoever comes here, and then they invite people from back home. And you wait on the list, and you come.
I imagine 2000 was about the best possible time right before 9/11. I'm sure they tightened the screws after that.
Yeah. I'm not really sure what you're hinting at, but yeah, it was all easy
to get your
going for
name
me.
on
Yeah.
the list.
I'm a very kind of bottom liner, which is I heard some stat I'll screw up, but that California for the first time had less people showing up and more people leaving.
Right.
And I feel that way from state to state, but I feel that way from nation to nation. You can say whatever you want about California or about the United States, good or bad, but who's waiting in line to get it? It's essentially like it's like all of the world is some amusement theme park, and you're just explaining what a piece of shit Thunder Mountain is, but there's always a big long line of people trying to get on it, and then you're talking about how great this other place is. There's no line there, and I'm like, well, I feel like the people have gotten the word
with their feet.
Yes.
What's the line Yogi Berra is attributed to? No one goes there anymore. It's too crowded.
Yeah, it's a funny line. So you guys came here. What was your dad do? Was he an engineer?
No, my dad is a dental technician, actually. He had a dental lab over there, sold it, and then came here and worked for a company and then started his own lab about 11 years ago.
At the dental lab, they're making bridges and teeth and things. What do they do there?
Yeah, we make dentures and night guards and implants, all that stuff.
Tracking devices in your molars.
Yep.
And you're a technician now as well?
Yes, I am. Yeah, he started the lab out of our garage, so I was de facto in the family business.
Now, is that something you enjoy or something you just were dragged into?
I was dragged into it, but I do enjoy it. It's comforting. I watched him do it growing up. All the smells and everything, and they always, I was always into the smells and everything. So now it's just I guess, ingrained in me.
Mm-hmm. Adam, you have a pretty low resting pulse. Yet, would you have pause about going to see a dentist in his garage?
Well, I don't think the chair was in the garage.
It's a third-party vendor.
He was manufacturing the teeth.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
I personally vote for Ruzbeh if and only if you can send me a set of Invisalign, because I got a fucked up snaggletooth.
You do?
Whatever you need, Gina. Anything for you.
When
Even
I
if you don't
smile,
vote for me, I got you.
It looks like I'm missing
fine.
a tooth. Oh, it's not fine.
Yeah, I was.
Pretty bad.
I know.
I was watching a Love Boat the other night, and it struck me before all the veneers and all the stuff. If you just got a good hand dealt to your teeth,
Well, that's half the
you were
battle.
like halfway to celebrity.
Yeah.
Or you got a bad hand, you're fucked. You know what I mean? There's nothing we could do about it.
But if you did get veneers back in the Love Boat days, they were fucking veneers. You look like Mr. Ed.
Right. This was
We call them donkey teeth.
That's
in my
exactly
industry.
right.
So where'd you guys move to when you came out from Iran?
We came straight to Oregon, in Beaverton, Oregon, and just moved around within 10 miles of there.
That's where I was born.
And ever since.
You are?
Beaverton,
yeah,
Oregon.
Beaverton.
Well, didn't know
I
that.
want to go see my my house when we go up there.
Oh,
my old
really?
house, yeah.
Wow.
Let's
Yeah.
all go.
Let's all go.
How far is Beaverton outside of Portland?
It's a suburb.
Oh, okay.
It's like, we have a couple miles.
Oh, really? So how will we find your house? We'll look for the plaque?
Yeah, it's a historical site.
Oh, okay.
Split Ranch.
And so now you guys have moved into a big building where you can do your dental technicianing, right?
That's right. Yep, we're in an actual facility now. It's pretty professional.
What's the next wave? What are we looking at?
I think we're going 3D printing. I think we're just going to scan people's mouths and do it on the computer.
That's awesome. Anytime you can let go finally of the putty thing
Yeah,
to
the
make your
mold.
mold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think ask if he is familiar with the warm inline water heaters, because if he's not, he's out.
All right.
Yeah. Now, his dad they're all doing the technical side of it. But
building teeth.
like I said, one of my, God, it must have been 20-something years ago. I was at a dentist, turned out to be a really bad dentist in Burbank. And he was working on my teeth and scraping everything. And it was during the winter. Like the stuff that comes out of the pipes is cold. And then he gets the water out and he starts spraying the cold water all over my gums he's been
Your
pushing
freshly
around.
scraped gums.
And it's like, it was excruciatingly painful. And I was like, somebody's got to invent an inline water heater just to warm up the water. Imagine the difference in terms of discomfort of warm water being sprayed on your teeth versus cold water. And the guy went, "Oh, they got those."
Anyway, say
And I go, "Yeah, all right. Well, next time you're at one of the conventions,
Dr. Lionel Hutz.
plop down $80 and go ahead and make an investment in my future." But yeah, they're getting better, as I say periodically in my stand-up act. Really, all the Twilight and all that stuff, like, it's all good now. It all works. Everything works. You still have the psychological part of knowing you have to go in on Monday morning and get the root canal. But other than that, it's really just that part
Take a nap.
that we need to change. All right, so what show do you want to do, Ruzbe?
Well, I've got tickets to the Thursday podcast and the stand-up afterwards for the 23rd.
Oh, there you go. So I
The
guess
Thursday night stand-up show.
Yeah. So is that the one where you want to do early Thursday, so the screen says? Or am I looking at that?
You guys got me all day. I'll do whatever you need.
Because we're the
Whatever
early show.
works for you.
Yeah. But but we're still doing ball pulling after the
But it's
after,
like a show.
right? Yeah.
I think I don't know why it's this early.
We haven't been on stage with you that much in the last
No, I
year.
know. That's what I remember. But we're still going to carve out 20 minutes at the end for the ball pulling on the pods.
Oh,
That's the way-
then I'm wrong.
I rarely say this, but Chris, please chime in.
I thought that was going to be in the second show, so I'm wrong.
Well, I think we've been doing it in both, haven't we? Or am I making now?
Don't ask Brian and I.
taking crazy.
No,
crazy
only
pills.
ball pulling in the late show.
Oh, really?
He has tickets to both.
Just be in the audience and we'll grab you when we need you.
Early show should not be up there. That's confusing.
See?
Because he'll be pulling balls at the late show.
Ruzbe, do you have a
But
last
do we pull balls in the live pod?
Brian and I have never been a part of that.
No.
And the one San Diego show I was at, Adam Ray was there.
Yeah, you did it with Adam.
Well, that's a live pod, right?
Well, I'm
no,
saying Adam Ray was there.
that was
I don't know
Adam
if you-
Carolla is unprepared.
We pull balls in both the podcast and the stand-up. We've been doing that
Have I
for
been
2
saying?
years.
Have I been
What?
saying that?
Yeah.
You have
Brian.
done it, but we have not been there.
Okay.
You dismissed
We've done it in Jam
us.
of the Band,
yes,
and we
you
did it
kick
at
us out.
Belly.
We're on
We've
you
done
do
it
it.
at all of them.
This time you're doing 2 shows.
Thanks, Chris. I know. Well, so all right. Why am I feel like I'm taking crazy pills?
I
You're
too
not.
feel that way.
Okay.
When we do shows with Adam, Brian, are we part of a segment where somebody comes up on stage and pulls balls?
No, what happens is Adam dismisses us, but we're on Zoom from here typically, and that's why we'd have no
Thank
recollection.
you. Okay.
And that's why you would have a recollection of the podcast segueing into balls.
Yeah, but to be fair to you guys in Slight Insanity, we cut it off at like an hour or something, and I go, all right, now you guys can go.
Yes.
To pull the balls.
That's why I was confused. It's not while we're on stage.
And the last times that you guys have been on stage with Adam was Jam in the Van and Belly Up. But all those times we've done balls as well. It's been consistent.
I wasn't
time.
at Belly Up.
No, Brian was at Belly Up.
Jam in the Van, was it ball pulling?
No, I left and Adam Ray stayed with you, or did we? It doesn't matter, I guess.
All right, Dawson, where are you getting your info?
I don't remember. I remember Adam Ray pulling balls for the second show.
No, Woody pulled the balls on Jam in the Van, I think.
You.
Right. All right. So anyway.
Yes,
yeah, just come to the
true.
show, Ruse Bay.
So, Ruse Bay.
I'll be there.
Look what you've done, Ruse Bay.
You can do either show.
I can do either show.
Or now it says early show. So now
he's doing early show.
I can do that.
All
too.
right. You do the early show.
Do you have a last initial Ruse Bay in case another Ruse Bay is in the audience?
Yes.
yeah. It's Ruzbet J. Yeah, J. That's a good point.
What's the last name? Do you have a crazy last name?
Oh, God. Here we go. It's Jahangiri.
Ah, yeah.
That's what we like to hear.
All right, buddy. We'll be there.
Good to talk to you guys. Yeah,
And,
I'm so excited to meet you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, and we'll see you on Thursday. That's right. All right, and now there's Diana, nurse.
Oh.
Early show Wednesday. You driving down with a friend from Seattle?
Yeah, I'm driving down from Seattle, and my college friend's driving down from Eastern Washington, and we got a hotel in Portland, and we're staying the night, and we're coming to the Wednesday shows, both shows and the meet and greet.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yes.
How long's the haul from Seattle to Portland?
Well, it'll depend because there's been snow in the forecast, so we're hoping it's just like 3 hours.
They get snow? How much snow they get in Portland?
I saw a little bit of snow in the forecast. I couldn't tell you how
Really?
much they get.
Yeah, they have the Columbia Gorge, so sometimes it gets colder there, so it just depends.
I did see the weather's supposed to go from a high of 48 to a low of 42.
It's a lot of range.
That's what I said last night.
It's supposed to rain, right?
Yeah.
I was,
Portland.
it's where I'm living. It's getting down into the 30s at night. We had, I checked the temp, the pool's into the 40s and the temps into the 30s and the 40s. And I was in that pool this morning and it is brisk. I must tell you, I've unplugged my cold tank because I got one in the backyard. Diana?
Yes.
You're a nurse?
Yes, I am.
That's a good in-demand kind of job, right?
Especially now.
Right now, yeah, there's a lot of nurses leaving just to be travel nurses because they can make a lot more money that way.
Mm-hmm. So other states and hospitals are trying to lure you in, give you a bonus, that kind of
My
stuff?
last infusion was a travel nurse.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's just gotten in from San Francisco.
You're like just a gun for hire nurse?
Well, I mean, she's a qualified nurse, but they just hired her a few days before.
Wow.
Maybe we need a Ricky Nelson song. I'm a traveling nurse, gave a lot of shots all over.
That's what I am.
the
I'm an
world.
infusion nurse. So.
Oh,
there you go.
Perfect.
Mhm. What?
But I just want to say, I'm just really excited that you guys are coming up here to the Northwest. I've been waiting since like 2020 for you guys to come up here. So.
Oh, you're
I'm really
doing you're doing the infusion stuff.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Can we get IVs?
I was going to say, me and Dawson are probably going to tie one on out in Portland. And, give me your room number because we may need a little infusion. I've never done that. Rich people do it.
That's great.
It's very
I'm
Vegas.
guessing it works. Have you done
Especially after hangovers, yeah.
Yeah, get the solution before I get it. Can you grab a couple of bags of Avastin from the... from the
Well, they're probably in the
chemo ward?
car, right?
Yeah, I've done some of those infusions on patients.
The
Do you guys have the? I'm sorry to interrupt. Do you have the regulation where someone has to come over and like literally read the number to you just to make sure you're not giving the wrong person chemotherapy?
Yes.
Yeah, that's how they do it.
Good.
Yeah.
What can a nurse pull down these days, a traveling nurse?
I read somewhere that there's some that are making like $150 an hour.
Wow.
Jesus.
It's good. Again, nurse is a good, solid, I don't know, maybe it's my version. I always tend to think because I'm a misogynist. I just think of dude jobs. Like, don't go to college for 4 years and get your Chicano studies major. Just go learn how to weld for 2 years and start making $65 an hour somewhere on a pipeline or whatever. But nurse is that for man or woman.
Yeah.
But that's a good couple of year program, and then you're making good bucks.
Well, let me ask you this, Adam. Outside of the contractor, the boss, the jefe, does anyone on the job site make $150 an hour?
No.
Because that's fucking good money.
And that's job security.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just has happened since COVID is when they really
Still, even if it's 50% less, $100 an hour, that's a
I agree.
Damn good job.
So, wait a minute. How long's the haul from Seattle to Portland?
3
It's about 3 hours.
Uh-huh. And then your friend is in the area, but she's going to meet you over there?
Yeah, she's from Eastern Washington. I went to college with her. We both played basketball in college, and so she's going to come from Eastern Washington and meet me in Portland. And I think it's about a 3-hour trip from where she's at.
I wonder, just popped in my head, but I always talk to John Popper, and he's up there somewhere. I should invite him to come out.
Hell yeah.
Too.
Please.
Yeah, he loves the stage.
And Diana has the kind of voice that I always wish I had.
Point guard voice?
Yeah. She has like a very like bubbly, sort of feminine, Disney princess voice, and then you're stuck with, this orc.
Kristen Chenoweth.
Yes,
She's
exactly.
on the edge of was molested, but not quite there. You know what I mean? Which
yeah,
is where
Diana, you don't have to answer that.
But that's where you want to be.
Right. Right.
You
I
want.
had been in it with a teacher, but it wasn't that bad.
Didn't scar.
You had a little affair with a teacher?
Oh, I didn't. No, I just had a teacher that got in a lot of trouble for inappropriate. What's the best way to put it? Relationships with basketball players.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm. But not you. You just got hotter, by the way.
We'll save this for the stage.
Yeah, this is good banter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it's that person.
I was early on before it got really bad. I guess is the best way to put it.
Okay.
That
nip in the bud.
Oh boy.
Is that person still coaching?
No, he was. I think he was finally arrested and convicted. I think he got 10 years or
10
to 15, but or maybe 10 years, and then he got out, and then he started doing. I think he stole a Social Security number from a baby that had passed away, and
my God.
started doing. I mean, it was not
rehabilitated.
We're talking about all this.
Can't judge.
He's not a good guy,
but
he's out now.
The poetic version of this has Diana ending up as his nurse someday.
She
injecting him with fucking bleach.
She doesn't call someone over to read the bag.
You'll be getting a Avastin today, sir. But I have a cold.
So this guy, I'm on to this voice now. This guy was having sex with the ladies on the high school basketball team?
On select team, on high school teams. Mm-hmm. He was a substitute teacher, too, when I was in junior high.
Was there like a class action lawsuit or anything?
No, actually, it took a lot because he was really well known in our area, and all the parents liked him, and he got a lot of girls' scholarships to college, and so a lot of the victims that came forward, the parents didn't want to believe them because they wanted their girls to,
How does that work when someone goes, hey, man, when I was in the 10th grade, this guy had sex with me, and you go, liar.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, hush now.
It's weird,
Would
right?
the scholarship offer go away if you were molested?
No, but I think that they thought if the coach was going to get in trouble, then their daughter's chances of probably getting scholarships in the future.
Oh, boy.
Mm-hmm.
What a wonderful system.
Yeah. No one ever made it past him
he eventually got in trouble.
high school. All right, so he went in, and then he got out, then he got into trouble again, and
he'll be on next.
Maybe that's
He's
where
still out and about in the Seattle area. I know that much.
Oh, is he?
Yes, he is.
All right, so may have been tuning into something with the voice. I don't know.
No.
No, not you.
No. Not too bad.
Okay.
No,
Just
she would have been like,
a little,
I'm a point guard.
a little dusting of molestation, or all right.
Anyway. But
She'd
I'm
love to
excited
stop
for
this
you guys.
conversation.
But you still get a lot of benefits out of team sports, is what I'm saying. Even with the occasional turned ankle.
The benefits outweigh the negatives almost
right.
every time.
That's right. All right, Diana. I'm going to bring you up on stage and we'll heal together.
Okay. It's the Wednesday show, the first show? Is that what you said?
Who's to say?
Yeah, it says
Okay,
early
whichever.
show
Sometime
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yes.
Wednesday.
Well, thanks,
Wait.
you guys. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to meeting you.
You and your friend are going to all 4 shows?
We're just going to, just the Wednesday show, both shows, and then the
Okay. All right, great. We'll see you at the room for the infusion, and
Okay.
we'll dry your tears. Thank you.
Serious about the Austin. It's just $50,000.
All right. Let's see. We got Shooter Jennings and Jason Boland waiting. We'll take a quick break. Come back. We'll talk to them right after this. Shooter Jennings, Jason Boland have joined us. The Light Saw Me's name of the album. Jason and the Stragglers, and it's produced by Shooter. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you too.
I'm interested. We'll get into everyone's story. Shooter, what is the story behind your name? I was trying to figure it out before the show. Got a couple different versions. I'm curious to one the family goes with.
You know what? I was on your show like in 2011. I think somebody said something so strange they had heard. Anyway, my mom always said it was because I peed on the nurse when I was born, which is apparently true. But I think they were into the whole like Western thing and thought it would be real fun. They didn't realize how close it was to like a bunch of other words that kids in school would call me.
And what about the wildly exotic Jason? Where did that come from? No.
Yeah.
What got you guys
As
together?
you can imagine, Jason and the Argonauts.
Oh, really?
there
Is that
you
where it came from? What got you two together?
Jason?
Yeah, we just playing out shows out there on the road. Shooter started playing some of the same clubs we were, and we got to share the stage a few times. And then one of the times when we bumped into each other years down the road, we talked about doing an album together, and we did one about 3 albums ago, I think, and then decided to collaborate again together on this one.
Yeah, man. Jason and I have been tight for a long time, and probably almost 20 years. So it was awesome to kind of come back and do a second record with him, especially something as wild as one about a cowboy who gets abducted by aliens.
It says here it's a sci-fi country concept record. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Fuck yeah.
Where's that come from?
Oh, I think all bands kick around the idea to do a concept record in the back of their mind, or rock bands always talk about doing a country album and vice versa. So the idea is always there. It's hard to get yourself to really tie into that, because then once you say you're going to do it, you're constrained by the narrative or whatever you're going after. And with always having that thought of doing one in the back of our heads, I started a couple of songs that 2 of them tied together. And then once you have the story in your mind, the narrative of what's going to happen to this character, why we should care about him, who's the antagonist, who's the protagonist, and why are they going to be changed? And then, you can we wanted to fit it on one disc. And if he was transported through time, that side A was the past and B was the future. And it sounds constraining, and that would be the tough part, but it actually is what provided a lot of focus for the project. And it really just moved along. Once 2 or 3 songs fit, and thought, wait a minute, this could be this. And the terrifying nature could be the Carney Barker talking about the guy in this terrifying nature. The Lights on Me just always sounded like a song about somebody going fishing, just the guitar riff. I don't know, in my head. So then it just became, what if he saw a light in the sky? What if the guy in this song I'm working, Terrifying Nature, is like a Carney Barker talking about him, setting up the story, and then he proposes our questions that we set out to solve through the rest of the album.
Shooter, am I screwing this up? Did Mike Judge did that series? Was it Tales from the Road or the
Tales from the Tour Bus?
The tour bus,
yeah.
Right? I think your dad was the subject of one of those. Am I right?
Yes. Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
So first off, it was all just bedlam. It was Sodom and Gomorrah on the road. I mean, it was crazy. In a way, the earlier country stuff felt a little more like the more modern rap stuff. There's lots of substance abuse. There's lots of booze. There's lots of women, and there's lots of gunplay.
Right.
As well. Seems like a totally different group, but it was the same outcome.
Right.
Essentially. People getting shot, people getting threatened, life on the road, lots of substance, lots of women. Did you watch your father's episode?
I did. You know, those things are pretty funny. I got asked to be on one. I love Mike Judge, but I got asked to be on one and about George Jones. And I got real uncomfortable when I was there because I realized like pretty much this is the show for every single disgruntled ex-band member from every one of these guys to come on and finally get their platform. You know what I mean? So when I got in there and they're asking me all these stories about George Jones, who was a dear friend of my dad, I was like, I don't know if I feel good about talking about him being drunk or whatever. Like it was a real awkward thing. So I was like, crossing my fingers when I got to my dad's because I knew how wild that he was. They were back then, you know, but it ended up being funny and I could see the humor. You know, what's funny about it is it wasn't until at first I was kind of peeved about it, but it wasn't until I watched the other ones about like Bootsy Collins and stuff where I could actually see it objectively and be like, oh, okay, it's funny. But I was pretty like on edge when they were doing the Waylon one because I knew it was a bunch of people that we're going to just love telling stories about how much they partied back in the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, in a weird way, I guess it's like getting roasted by Don Rickles. Like the first person that gets roasted is like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
and then at a certain point, it becomes kind of an honor to be roasted or endearing or something. But yeah, you have to think about it. You have a lot of disgruntled band members. And they were as fucked up as everyone else was on the road. And they just tell these stories. Like, then he walked onto the tour bus with a shotgun and said, you guys better start playing better. And he pumped the shotgun. And you're like, did that happen? Or was that part of this guy's drug and alcohol infused haze as well? Did you recognize some of the stories that they told?
Yeah, I did. So one of them, I was like, I've never heard this in my life. But my brother was on there talking about it, so I was like, well, I guess he was there for that. But the you know, there's certain ones where I definitely probably was shielded from as a kid, you know. But yeah, there were some that I remember hearing about that are in his book, you know, like a lot of the George Jones shit that I talked about on the show was like stuff from my dad's book that I was like just kind of regurgitating from those stories that I'd read and heard. So who knows, you know. But yeah, I definitely know that a lot of those stories are true. I know that there are some guys involved, not just in my dad's episode, but along the entire spectrum of that series that were like notorious for making crap up. So it was one of those things where it was like, all right, that guy's talking. I know that he's full of crap, but the rest of the world doesn't. Oh, well, you know.
I wonder if songwriters make up more shit than the average American because they're kind of that's their job is to tell these stories and to make them interesting. And, you know, yeah, you can't say a guy walked in the bar and he was 5 foot nothing and 110 pounds. You got to go, he was 6'9" and broad at the shoulder, narrow at the hip. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
You're a journalist. You're a journalist. You're supposed to tell your story in the most compelling way possible.
Yeah.
So you were out. You went out on the road as just an infant, right? With your dad and all these Willie Nelson and all these guys, Chris Christopherson.
Yeah, I traveled with them. You know, when I was little, I was on the road with my dad a lot. And then once I started school, I'd go out in the summers. But then whenever they did the Highwaymen thing, I would go out. The first couple tours I did that. By the time that they did one, I was like 17. I'm like, I'm staying home. You know, I had a band and friends, and I was tired of all the traveling already, which I don't know why I chose to go into a business where I'm going to travel for the rest of my life. But I did. I was just used to it, man. It was cool. And it was like me and Jason, man, you know, like my dad's friends, like the ones that he remained friends with like his entire life, guys like Tony Joe White or guys like Willie or like, I mean, especially Christopherson or Cash, like their families were around. Like me and Jason's wives are like really close, and their bulldogs are good friends and stuff. And we went on tours and stayed in the same buses together. So it was kind of like that, you know, and and I was just a little kid along for the ride with someone. There was a bunch of other little kids, and we all thought our lives were just like this normally, you know.
Chris Christopherson was like a great songwriter. Is he still alive?
Amazing.
He's alive, right?
So.
He's alive.
But he's also had the Matinee Idol good looks and was like a movie star too, who kind of in a weird way flew a little under the radar for all the songs, all the great hits that guy's written and all the contributions he's made musically. Sorry, Gina, you had a question?
Well, just before we jumped off all these famous friends in this crazy life, I am obviously Johnny Cash, but I'm a longtime fan of Dolly Parton, and I'm just praying that you've met her and you have a kind word to say about her.
I've never met her. I heard she's the nicest woman in the world. Have you met her, Jason?
No, I never have either.
How about Mac Davis?
No, I never met him either. I'd love to, though.
Well, he's gone, so you're not going to get a shot.
Oh, that's right.
Mac.
He died just like 2017 or 18, didn't he? That's right.
Not that long ago. He was kind of a Chris Christopherson. He made movies.
Last year.
He wrote songs. You know, he had a career as a leading man. He also wrote tons of songs we were talking about. In the Ghetto, we were talking about. It was one of his that doesn't even. You wouldn't even attribute it to him, but it's a great song. Elvis obviously made it famous. You guys cover anything when you go out and do shows and do tours?
Jason just covered Pantera at the Grand Ole Opry.
What?
And then Pantera tweeted about it.
It was just a little intro. This is the intro lick.
Hey,
don't think that I went all Phil Anselmo out there.
That sounds like a Mad Lib. You covered Pantera at the Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah, it was weird too. And it was the one thing the guys asked me. They said, "Are you gonna?" We covered the song "Tulsa Time," which is an old Danny Flowers tune that you might have heard from either Don Williams or Eric Clapton covered it. A lot of good covers throughout the years. And we go into it and we play the riff from Cowboys to Hell first. I play it to my guitar playing ability. And I asked them, I said, is this going to offend anybody? And they said, no, I don't think so. And then I thought, there's been some shit come across the stage, but at this point that we just always heard all these stories that, oh God, they wouldn't let, Bob Wills wasn't going to get to have the drums on and Marty Robbins wasn't going to get the horns on. And, you always heard this battle, man. We got there and, you'd never know what situation you're exactly walking into. And they were all the nicest, most accommodating, wonderful people to ever do a show for it. Took all the angst that you thought you might have as some like outlaw country band. You're like, God dang, they're just a bunch of wonderful souls in there. So they said they wouldn't have a problem with it. And how always the rejected stone becomes the cornerstone. The thing you're thinking of throwing away becomes the most usable thing. Became the most memorable part of the night. Evidently, it was funny.
And I know there's no way to measure this, but I'm just kind of putting it out there to everybody. Does it seem like there's a renaissance for country music and maybe in general a kind of a patriotism? Maybe it's a Fox News thing or something, but I feel like country music is having a surge. Like things have ebbs and flows, like NASCAR. You know what I mean? There are times when NASCAR is really popular and there's some Dale Earnhardt's battling it out with so-and-so, and then it kind of flattens out for a while, like the heavyweight boxing division. You hear about the great years, and then it sort of flattens out. It's always around, but then it has a resurgence. Is that what's going on with country? I feel like when I was, a few years ago, I wasn't hearing as much about, and I mean 20 years ago, but I just mean it was like I live out in Los Angeles. We listen to K-Rock, you listen to No Doubt or something like that. But and like in Los Angeles, there wasn't even a country station for a long time. But
yeah,
I feel like it's kind of back. Do you guys sensing that?
I do, for sure. I think that but I don't think it's through the normal channels, because if you listen to like a country station, it's still a bunch of that weird corny rap mixed thing they got going on over there. But there's this whole other underbelly, and it partially is in that Americana world, but like, you know, the Tyler Childers that are, or the Zach Bryans that are like massive, and they're like, you know, and they're like really, and they're great singers and songwriters, and guys like me and Jason have been hanging on to the horse for like 20 years. So it's nice to have these like young dudes popping up and like writing good stuff that's inspired, you know, Mike and the Moon Pies, or like a lot of these kind of new bands. It really kind of is a nice thing to see, because it's something that we've believed in a long time and we've kind of held on to for a long time, you know, and now all of a sudden there's a whole new crop of guys that are like undergroundy or kind of, you know, it's almost like what happened in the 80s with the hair metal. And then you had like Nirvana and this whole batch of like rock bands, and you had bands that were like, you know, the Melvins that were there the whole time, and like, or the Pixies, you know, and then you get these new guys that come along and kind of bring it all back around to what was good about it. And I think that's definitely happening, and it's definitely happening in spite of, or despite, you know, radio and all of that.
I always look at it like the Urban Cowboy effect. You remember the movie Urban Cowboy that came around? And it's when towns that set the tones for pop culture switch on to Western culture. Everything moves in cycles. So you go part of the time cowboy hats and boots until they're out of style. Post the telecommunications revolution, those trends seem to move fast, or like you said, they're tied sometimes to like a jingo movement that's it's cool to be Western right now. But the more hardcore the mass media pop culture versions of that there'll always be that backlash, like Shooter was talking about, how it'll make the underground stronger. But I definitely see right now one of those pop culture waves where more people turn on to Western, like Garth Brooks, when he, you know, took, you know, country music New York by storm, and, you know, had 1 million people in the park. There were these waves where the Western version of music and dress and style become more trendy in the mass media and mass markets. But I think they were definitely on one of those.
Well, and it sounds like it's a totally different style too. Because when I think of like, you know, and Dawson and Brian may agree because we talk about this stuff all the time, but like late 90s, early 2000s country pop was like its own thing. And I don't think that's where we're at. I think it's like you said, like that alternative country, that kind of a little grittier, a little more rock that people are really grasping toward right now.
I'm trying to think, I'll screw up all the names, but a young country guy, the guy got into trouble for dropping an N-bomb in his driveway drunk.
Oh God. Morgan Wallen.
Wallen hooked up with like gay rapper Young Jizzy or Lil Jizzo or what his name of that guy is. That guy.
Old Town Road?
He's the gay.
Lil Nas X?
No, they got together on something new.
Oh.
And it kind of reminded me of what Shooter.
Lil Durk?
No, he's the gay one. He got in trouble with all satanic stuff.
Yeah, that's Lil Nas X.
That's Lil Nas
X. Sorry.
That's why I wrote Old Country Road.
Sorry. Yeah, Lil Nas X. Yeah, but it's not that song.
Yeah.
They've collaborated
Right.
on something that I don't think you guys are going to appreciate. But we'll see if we can.
Dude, like Pantera.
We'll see if we can find. I'll see if we can find that clip. It struck me that sometimes I think some guys are like trying to work their way from country into the mainstream by just going, it's almost like a politician who's campaigning with somebody who's popular in a town going, come on up on stage with me and let me win over this group. But I got to figure out the name. It's a song that just came out. I saw it on TMZ.
Okay, I was going to say, where's the connection?
TMZ, because that's my only...
I'm sorry for what I said.
Oh, is that what...
We're sorry.
We're sorry.
We'll find a clip of it.
I'm seeing online that it is Lil Durk who is
Is
teaming
it?
up
Broadway
with
Girls.
Broadway Girls.
Is it? With
It's a song with Morgan Wallen.
Oh, it's Little Dirk.
Lil Durk.
Oh, is
That
he
sounds
gay?
like some damage control.
Yeah.
Lil Durk's Bentley?
It's called Broadway Girls.
Little
Yeah.
Dirk's Bentley.
So I guess he got in trouble for dropping some N-bombs, which I don't appreciate. Not the N-bomb part.
Getting
The
in
part where
trouble
the
with
neighbor
blowback,
films you drunk on your driveway, because we cannot be judged by how we act on our driveways when we're drunk.
Often the worst.
But you're going to make a shitload of noise, I guess you're going to get a neighbor pissed off. And then they filmed him, and then they put it up on, sent it over to TMZ.
I'd like to see that.
But we'll see if we can.
The song.
We'll see if we can find that song just to see if it annoys the shit out of you guys or not. Shooter, you going to Europe to tour?
I'm doing a thing in the summer. We kind of had like we were supposed to do a tour in 2020, and of course it got bumped, and then it got bumped again. So we're kind of doing makeup. It's funny because like when I was doing that, I had this whole tour booked, and then like the world changed and my life changed. I started doing a lot more records in the studio during the pandemic, and now I kind of like am not touring anymore. This at least right now, but I still got to do that. So I got to go out and do that this next summer. But that'll be fun because like I love going to Europe, and hopefully it's easy to travel over there. That's the one part. It just wears me out going over there. It's like you just get worn out with all that flying and renting cars and all that stuff, but we'll figure it out. It should be fun.
I'm always curious, what are the European nations that are big into country? I'm always surprised. If you ever interview a band, they'll just tell you they're big in South America.
Sweden.
Really?
Norway, yeah. France, Spain, like Barcelona, we always did really well. Sweden, we always had crazy crowds. How much have you been over there a lot, Jason? Have you traveled over there?
Just a couple times.
Me too. No, I haven't done it that many times.
They love line dancing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How about Japan? Is
I've
Japan?
never
been.
I wonder if they're into country music. I mean, they are blue jeans and Elvis and Cadillacs and Americana.
This is your version of the Dolly Parton question.
Yeah, it is.
There's people I know that go over there and clean up. I've just never done it.
Oh, really? Country acts. We got Lil Durk and Morgan Wallen. We'll play a little bit of the.
Oof. I mean, it's not country,
She said that she saw me walking in about a mile away. Bean just had to take her phone, and that just took her smile away. She said I'm too drunk and crazy. She don't like the way I dance. I said you don't have to.
Where's the country part?
Yeah,
that is the country part.
Oh, okay. I prefer Willie Nelson and Snoop Dogg's "My Medicine." That's one of my favorite. It's a hit, man.
Yeah, I went on to. God, I guess I went on to Willie Nelson's tour bus once. Just smell. You know how you ever get behind a car that's been converted? I had a guy in my neighborhood years ago. He converted his diesel Mercedes to run off of oil, like the kind of
the potato fry oil, yeah.
French fries. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the back of the car just smelled like you walked into a McDonald's. Like that's what was coming out of the tailpipe. That was Willie Nelson's tour bus, but with weed.
Yeah.
That's essentially when you walked onto that tour bus, it was the weed. It was the weed bus. He drove it to Loveline. Were you there, Brian, when he came there?
I remember that.
He was like, I guess in the middle of this tour, pre-Uber, I guess they just showed up and invited me on the bus to smoke some spleef or something. And
it's neighborly.
There it was. Yeah.
Well, speaking of Willie Nelson, we've had many years ago. We had his son Lucas Nelson on the show, and I imagine you guys are familiar with his work.
Never met him.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit.
Oh yeah, I love Lucas.
Yeah, it was
He's great.
Dawson has a question for you, gents.
Yeah, hey, Shooter. Last time you were on the Adam Carolla show, you were promoting the record Black Ribbons, Shooter, Jennings, and Hierophant. It's about a decade ago, and it's one of those records that I love that record. I listen to it at least all the way through, at least once a month. It's a phenomenal, phenomenal record. Are you in some kind of shock and awe that
everything
essentially
came true
you
on the
wrote
record?
the future? You wrote 2021.
Oh man, I don't know. I get that question a lot. When we were doing the record, it was like, hey, wouldn't this is very possible. That's how it felt like when I was writing it and coming up with it. At the time, I was studying a bunch of stuff, reading really obscure websites and blogs and reading lots of books from all kinds of different writers, Manly P. Hall and David Icke and all these kind of people. And I like wrote this thing And then like, it's just crazy, it's just crazy. It's crazy that we're like really there. You know what I mean? Cause I didn't think it would ever come to that, but who knows?
Well, on another quick note on that record, a lot of people often ask on Twitter, what is the greatest opening line of any song? And I always come with your first line to Triskaidekaphobia. When I check into 1410, I know what room I'm really in. It's brilliant, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much. It's like I like the art to kind of continue to be objective. So it's hard for me to like weigh in on like the way it applies nowadays, but it is pretty wild, that it is kind of a lot of it's coming true.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, let's go out on a super happy complimentary note. Shooter Jennings, Jason Boland, and the album, The Light Saw Me, and it's available wherever you listen to music. And we got tour dates for Jason coming up. Go to jasonboland.com and website shooterjennings.com. You can find out when he's getting out and what they're up to. Hey, guys, thanks for joining us again, Shooter and Jason. And hope to safe travels. Hope we'll catch up real soon.
Hope so.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I hope you guys check out the record. We're really proud of it. So it's an awesome thing, man. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, guys. All right. Nice guys.
Yeah, very.
Let me tell you about BetterHelp. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. We talk about BetterHelp a lot on the show. And this month we're talking about stigmas around mental health. Boy, if there's ever been a time when you got to get your head right, it is now. Don't wait till things get unbearable. And might be a little late for therapy at a certain point. Therapy is a tool to utilize before things get worse. It helps you avoid the lows. Take care of our bodies at the gym and our nutrition with the doctors. And now let's focus on our minds. BetterHelp. Customized online therapy offering video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist. So you don't have to see anyone on camera if you do not want to. More affordable than in-person therapy. Get matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. It's BetterHelp, right, Dawson?
See why over 2 million people have used BetterHelp Online Therapy. And Adam Carolla Show listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/Carolla. That's BetterHelp.com/CAROLLA.
All right, take a quick break. Come back and do the news right after that.
Trevor Noah is suing a surgeon who he claims left him with serious personal injury. I have looked and I cannot find what the actual injury is. They're not giving a lot of details, but we get enough right now. 37-year-old Daily Show host filed a lawsuit against the hospital for special surgery, and Dr. Riley J. Williams charging that they were careless in failing to treat and care for him in a careful and skillful manner following a procedure he had last year. While Noah's suit does not explain exactly what was being treated, it does say that the defendants were negligent in diagnosing him during the surgery, the follow-up visits. And his attorney says that his injuries are permanent, severe, and grievous, leaving him sick, sore, lame, and disabled, and causing a loss of enjoyment of life.
Well, if you're lame and disabled, you would not tend to enjoy life as much. Lame means can't use his legs or is having difficulty
lame
with
means
his
nerd.
legs.
It's the host of the Daily Show, after all.
Yeah, I mean, lame kind of turned into what retarded turned into.
Yeah.
Retarded just meant back. Now it means retarded, and lame
like
turned
dumb,
into lame. Yeah.
Mute.
Yeah. But, well, yeah, if your kid was retarded, it was the opposite. Well, we had advanced students.
Right.
This would be the opposite of an
forward.
advanced student, retard.
Right.
But lame, like he's having trouble getting around.
That's what they're inferring. And you'd be right to say that, lame usually means difficulty walking.
Unable to walk without difficulty as a result of injury or illness.
Yeah.
That's lame.
So I think they're probably keeping a rather tight lip on it now that there's a lawsuit.
But what could Trevor Noah get up and walk around today? Is he taping a show?
I mean, he's always at a desk. How do we know how he's getting to that desk?
True.
So, I'll keep an eye on that. But so far, we don't know exactly what happened. Some good news about That Haitian orphanage, that violent Haitian gang, remember, that kidnapped those 17 members of the U.S. Christian Missionary. We know. Let's see, it was probably 2 weeks ago. A bunch of them were released. Now all of them are released. They were abducted by the 400 Mazawa gang while visiting the orphanage outside of Port-au-Prince. The gang threatened to kill everyone.
Can it just be the Mazawa gang? Is there a 250 Mazawa gang and a 300?
It's a local.
Are there another?
122.
Are there like 399 other Mazawa gangs running around?
Just these guys, just the Sharks and the Jets.
Yeah.
So 5 were released last time we talked about this. Now they've all been released. Unclear if any ransom was paid, but they did ask for $17 million.
I like it. It's specific.
Yeah.
It was $1 million per person, I guess.
So, yeah.
Makes sense.
And I listened to this sort of expose on like what the hell is going on with Haiti since, we were talking about it.
If I was abducted with a group and it was $1 million a head, I would try to convince the kid next to me that actually they were paying 1.5 for me. They will not be this specific, but I know you're worth $500K.
Yeah, it's 17 out at the end of the day.
It adds up.
It doesn't break down to
well, it's like if you have a nice car collection, you take the whole thing to auction. They don't all sell for the exact same price.
Right.
You got some duds in there.
And you would do this just to further fuck with the guy that's being held hostage?
Yeah, just making conversation, passing the day, busting some chops. That's how
he's a buy one get one.
Orphans love their chops busted.
He's a BOGO.
Get your loss so we can get him.
I was listening to this expose about Haiti and about the government, and they still don't know who killed the leader of Haiti. And so they said, well, so we just decided to do a little deep dive on him.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry to say this.
Yeah.
But I hope Lieutenant Dan isn't listening. But whenever someone goes, it's not the people. The people are the greatest. The people, it's the government. It's the government. I'm always like, well, what part of Sweden's the government coming from? I mean, love them or hate them, the government is of the people.
Yeah.
I mean, they're made up of Haitians.
That's true.
Maybe the people.
Yeah.
Use a little help.
It's interesting you say that because the Moïse, the leader that got assassinated, his origin story is he was just a regular peasant guy and he rose through the ranks and he used to be celebrated, but then you dig a little deeper and I might be getting this wrong, this is from memory, but his brother-in-law was a big cartel guy, and they started going to these eel villages, eel fishing villages around Haiti, because apparently that's quite the export. Lot of drugs coming in and out. A lot of black market stuff go through the eel villages.
Inside the eels?
Yes, that apparently the leader's brother-in-law had a little something to do with.
Now, do they have a new president?
Would it matter?
I don't think so.
I think they're in a holding pattern.
Yeah.
Inside of an eel would be a good place to smuggle drugs. Because who on earth is going to, at customs, want to grab that fucking eel and examine it?
When I was a kid, the electric eel was all the rage.
Absolutely.
All the cartoons, you put a light bulb in your mouth, you'd grab an electric eel, the light bulb would light up.
The screaming eels from Princess Bride. Let's do a complete 180 because we've had almost no Christmas stories.
Another reason why eels, everyone's so terrified of eels, because it's really
inconceivable.
The scariest thing on land are snakes, but the sea is always scarier than the land.
Yes.
So this is the snake that's in the sea.
Yes.
Which makes it even scarier because all the aquatic creatures are always the scariest. But yeah, eels. In the movie The Deep with Jacqueline Bisset and Nick Nolte, the big, it was one of those highlight movies before everyone had porn and all that stuff. She was in a white T-shirt. We talked to Mr. Skin about it. But there were drugs, and there were diving for drugs, and there was a scary eel that was guarding the drugs.
All the tropes.
Trained eel.
I don't know.
Maybe they laid the eggs in there.
I don't know. You can look up the slug line for The Deep, but there was a scary eel in that movie, and Jacqueline Bisset had a bikini bottom, but not the top.
Oh, God bless her.
She went in her white T-shirt.
Yeah, right.
And then Nick Nolte was at the height of his powers. He was this hunky blonde guy with a mustache. And I think Robert Shaw was in this thing. Was Robert Shaw in the deep? And if so, he went right off of Jaws into the deep. But Scary Eel in a cave. There's morphine down there. They were going for drugs. I
the
think
eels are high.
Yeah. Sorry. You got anything? It's a fish. They're diving for drugs. Used to be enough just to watch underwater footage when I was a kid. Like that was exciting enough. That idea that there was a camera that they could put underwater. It's filming a giant eel.
Giant teeth.
Is that Nolte?
Oh,
Bit his goddamn head off.
giant eel.
They're still taking pictures.
Yeah, it's on burst.
Yeah, Nolte's trapped. Cameras shooting pictures. Gets rid of the regulator.
Oh no!
Oh, here it comes.
Gets rid of the tank. He's gonna swim to
He's
the
hooked.
surface.
He's hooked.
He's hooked. Yeah, that's Nolte. He's diving. Oh, is that Jacqueline Bisset?
It's a manly hand in
That's a
Jacqueline
hell of a forearm, man.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe that's Robert. See if Robert Shaw was in the deep. He was like the two biggest ocean movies of the 70s.
That thing is huge.
And then the giant eel swam away. Yeah, that's Robert Shaw.
Wow.
All right, so we got it.
Okay.
You guys are all caught up on the deep from
Understood.
1977 and a half.
Understood, and something that slithers like a snake underwater sucks, and we can all agree. However, we can wrap our minds around that concept. Have you ever seen like one of those snakehead fish that waddle and walk on land?
Yes.
That will fuck
I don't
you
think I have.
up. Mud skippers, snakehead fish.
Yeah.
It is very unsettling.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan.
Scary.
Yeah. So let's do a little Christmas talk because we haven't really gotten to that. Most families, we celebrate and we leave the cookies out and the milk for Santa, the carrots for the reindeer. Apparently, we're the only country that does that. So I thought it'd be fun to tell you what other countries like to leave out for Santa this time of year.
It's a Keebler holiday.
For real, this is a Toll House holiday. Australia, they leave out a nice icy cold beer for Santa.
Oh, nice.
That's very typical. Sweden leaves a nice coffee. Denmark leaves a rice pudding. Netherlands, the kids aren't interested in Santa. They leave hay and carrots for Sinterklaas, which is the horse.
Well, this is Switzerland?
Sinterklaas the horse.
This is
Yeah, in
Switzerland?
Netherlands.
I'm going to blow your guys' mind.
All right.
I have a Swiss friend who hosts every year a Santa Claus and Sinterklaas party.
So
a dinner,
Really?
where she tells about the traditions of Switzerland and Western Middle Europe and how Santa Claus, Sinterklaas or Santa Claus would come and leave either coal, because that was in the old days. It was how you signaled you've been bad. You're going to work in the coal mines.
Oh, I see.
So we got coal in your stocking.
That's what that meant.
Right.
That's where it came from.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? I just went to it.
That's amazing. So you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
And France, they leave biscuits out for Santa, carrots for the reindeer. Not stockings. The kids leave treats in their shoes. United Kingdom, you get a nice meat pie. Ireland, a pint of Guinness, and Chile, a rum-filled sponge cake for Santa. And if I remember correctly, a David Sedaris book, I can't remember which one, but there was a chapter called 6 to 8 Black Men, and it was the retelling of the Archduke of somewhere. That was their Santa Claus. He would not come with reindeer, but he would come with 6 to 8 black men who they called his friends. Doubtful. And if you were bad, they would beat you and stuff you in a sack and take you with them.
Yeah, that's Pedro Negro.
Oh, okay.
Well, look at Brian.
I only learned this 2 nights ago.
Wow.
And finally, if you have a crazy light display up, God bless. Everybody likes to see it.
Basically,
Yep.
all of Christmas internationally is just about trying to get kids not to be such fuck-up douches the
it's a
rest
warning.
of the year.
Krampus.
You'll get shit you want versus the shit beat out of you if
Yeah.
you just fucking play it
All the
right.
coal mines.
A lot of carrot,
Right.
a lot of stick.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're the neighbor, you do the over-the-top Christmas display.
Yeah. It's the opposite of Easter. Easter's just like, walk around, find some eggs, eat some chocolate.
Which
We
what
don't
does
really
that,
connect a behavior to it.
and
You know
what does
I mean?
that have to do with Easter and the rising of Christ?
Very little.
I don't know, but I do like that that Christmas is very much toward the beginning of the year, and it's like, get your shit together for this year.
That's right.
I mean, do you guys remember Santa and, the list and naughty and nice?
No.
And you don't.
No.
But
I remember being extra nice in December because that was your last chance to get on the nice list. You know what I mean? I'm like 6 years old. I didn't talk back to my parents as much.
Right.
How long did you go believing this?
I was still in my old house, so probably 7, I'm guessing.
I have a recollection of living in like Philadelphia, or maybe it was Seacane, Pennsylvania, somewhere around there. And my grandma came out to visit, and we had this old house that had this, I think we just rented old houses, and they had this attic with the window that was in the dormer. And we went up to sit and wait for Santa.
Nice.
Probably like snowing or whatever.
You and Grandma?
Back in the day, yeah.
That's nice. That's
yeah, I know. It
sweet.
was me and Grandma, probably me, my sister, and Grandma. We went up there and waited around for Santa.
I'm shocked that your grandmother let you believe that this was happening.
Less
She
effort.
ruined that
Way
for
less
you.
effort.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a good Christmas. I got like a pedal truck and I remember that was a big harvest year. Something I don't know. My dad must have been gainfully employed or not arguing with my mom or something. It was like,
Are you gonna start crying, you little bitch?
I was like 5, maybe 6. It was a good haul. It was like a good Christmas year. Yeah.
That was your first and last.
Well, then we got to the here's $10. We're gonna lean the branch against the wall. And,
Right, the rubber
it all
tree.
came undone.
We always got to choose, do we want 8 little presents, for 8 nights of Hanukkah, or one big grand finale, for the last night. And I've always been a very low risk person. I can't risk getting nothing and then being disappointed by the last present. So I always went with the 8 little presents.
Oh, really?
Every
Because you
time.
might get 2 real good ones out of there versus like you put all your eggs in a big basket.
And I can't, I'd be devastated. The one time I chose the big present, I did get a Rainbow Bright and Sprite, if you remember the little set.
They're still big.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, I was exactly opposite, which is I didn't want tchotchkes. I
Yeah.
didn't want to get another shrimp devainer. I just start.
I'm that way now.
I just start collecting money from everyone.
Right. That makes sense. So let me just give a final warning. If this is you, be very careful. There's still a couple days to get fined. You could draw an $11,000 fine from the FAA if your Christmas display is too ostentatious / dangerous.
Oh, by like a runway or
Yep,
something?
the FAA is warning that if you have one of those laser light projectors and it's pointed too far up, pilots report being temporarily blinded by those lights when they're directed to fly in the sky. If it's a mistake, they'll give you a warning. If it goes unheeded, you'll get an $11,000 fine. Please don't do this on the flight path from Burbank to Portland.
I was thinking the flight path into LAX, you fly right over SoFi. During the 4th of July, that is fireworks nation. Like I've never heard it. I've never heard them warn against all the backyard bootleg. By the way, the backyard and the bootleg stuff, they've upped their game, man. I don't know if it's a porous border or what's going on, but it ain't sparklers or flowers or snakes out in the driveway anymore. This stuff's getting some altitude.
I wonder if it's because that neighborhood is a lot of small cities like Inglewood, Carson, Hawthorne. You know what I mean? It's not LA proper. So I wonder if they're allowed to use like the nice
like unincorporated
fireworks.
cities.
Yeah.
I don't think it's allowed. I don't think the backyard display is allowed anywhere. I think they just do it. These are the same ones who are like, don't fire your gun into the air. If that bullet comes down, I don't think there's a zone where it's okay. There's just, I've lived there my whole life. There was no fireworks, but they light it up.
Yeah.
But if you're on the glide path and you're coming in, you're over all those neighborhoods. So, but commercial guys have thoughts about that.
Yeah. There's any number of helicopter traffic guys I could get you if you're interested in that conversation. Yeah. So you let me know. We were talking about Dolly earlier, and with good reason, she is now the recipient of 3 Guinness World Records. 75 years old, country star.
Never met the woman, but go ahead.
You broke the records for the most decades, 7, by the way, and the most #1 hits, 25, on the Billboard U.S. Hot Country Song Chart for female artist. She also broke one of her own records, which was the most hits on the U.S. Hot Country Song Chart charts by a female artist with a whopping 109 hits. Now, remember, she's a songwriter, too, so she has a wide net. They did an 8-minute interview. I'll spare you. Here's a really quick clip of Dolly talking about why she continues to stay relevant and who still appreciates her.
How old is Dolly?
75.
112.
How dare you?
Wow.
So many of the people that are following my career now that say that I have been an inspiration are usually young women that really are looking at how I have run my life and my business. So that's been an inspiration that makes me proud. And then a lot of them just like the songs I've written, which that really makes me proud because I take myself more serious as a songwriter than anything else. And to know that all these younger people, this young generation, they're still finding my songs and loving them and still treating me with great respect, thinking that I'm still important. That's also a very humbling feeling, and I'm very proud of that.
Gina, is that the closest we've gotten to seeing Dolly's arms?
You know what? Funny you should mention that because I thought, oh, well, I guess that puts the debate to bed if she's sleeved and tatted. But
she's wearing mesh.
She could easily have worn tan sleeves.
I think she was tracked. I thought she was tracked up. Shooting the Jews.
She does say she has various tattoos wherever she's had procedure scarring. So I don't know, maybe a nip, a tuck, and she puts a little butterfly over the incision.
Is right. Probably some scarring around those nips.
Yeah, it's possible.
Well, she's kind of my argument for what we're talking about when I was talking about feeling like country's coming back.
Yeah.
Dolly Parton was a kind of a punchline back when, not too long ago, and now she's turned into greatest living American.
Yeah.
She married to the same dude for all
Carl
these years?
Dean for at least 50 years.
Really?
And he's very private and never likes to be on camera and doesn't go out on tour with her.
And does he have a profession, you think?
Yes, I think he was in banking. He's
I love an earner and a mule. Like, I love the idea, just hit the road, baby, and then I'll be here to count the cash when you come in the front door of the cabin.
Bring it to work with me at the bank.
Definitely not a entertainment guy. Like, he definitely has like a civilian job. Let's switch to another artist, Lady Gaga. She has
married since '66. Crazy.
It's pretty great. Lady Gaga had an unusual addition to her entourage while she was filming House of Gucci. Did you see that?
I did.
I heard it was good.
It was okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wasn't that good?
It's probably in the 60s Rotten Tomatoes, maybe low 60s. There's some good things about it, for sure. There's also some like, holy crap, this movie is almost 3 hours long.
Oh, God. And I read an article about the woman who was doing speech for a lot of the people to give them an Italian accent, could not figure out why Lady Gaga was doing a Russian accent.
The accents are all over the place. Everyone's in their own movie.
Well, she also added, she didn't have somebody teaching her how to do the accent, but she did have a personal psychiatric nurse on set. Because,
by the way, you want to know what a movie snob my son is?
I hear it.
I heard the new Spider-Man movie was good.
It's excellent. I saw it yesterday.
And
it's really very good.
I said, you want to go see that? He said, last night. He said, yeah. And then he looked it up and he's like, the only seats available are the first row.
I'm 100% with him. 100%.
I figured you would because you're snobs.
Yeah.
So I said,
sitting up front row for 3 hours.
He's going out of town. And I was like, all right, fuck it. I mean, I'll do the front row if you want. And he's like, no, can do.
No, kids have standards. I totally get it. God bless you, Sonny.
I also said, though, I grew up in a time where the front row of the movie theater, they didn't really, you were shit out of luck if you're in the front row. They just designed them that there was a front row, but you couldn't watch the movie. They worked it out a little better now. I mean, mathematically, they pulled it back a little, and they've done something where the front row wasn't unusable. But still, he said he turned his nose up
and
at
it gives
that.
some people like vertigo. Like, it's just you're too up in that shit.
And then he went out and saw it with a friend of his.
Oh, that son of a bitch.
So I don't know.
It's like the time he's trying to convince you that your movie wasn't on the service.
He's looking at his phone, going, "Oh, sorry, old man, just front row, no can do." And then next thing you know, he's out with his buddy watching the movie.
I think you know which way the wind's blowing.
I got ditched.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. So let's get going with this psychiatric nurse because I need you to hear this.
Kids ditch you at some point?
Never.
My daughter ditched me like 4.5 years ago. Now Sonny's getting into the ditching.
But I just got this kid. I don't want him to ditch me.
They're going to start ditching.
Him.
It's coming. It's coming.
All right. Well, Lady Gaga tells Variety that playing the accused murder plotter, Patrizia Gucci, took a toll on her psychiatrically. She said, I brought the darkness with me home because her life was dark. To combat that, she says, I had a psychiatric nurse with me towards the end of the filming. I sort of felt like I had to. I felt that I was safer. It was safer for me. Gaga went on to give her own self-diagnosis. She said, I don't think that any actor should push themselves to that limit. And I ask myself all the time why I do it. It's not a secret that I'll do anything for art.
She was good. I mean, not great, but good.
Do you think she needed to be on a 24-hour 5150?
Don't be ridiculous.
It's called acting. I don't.
Yeah.
Why?
Who was just talking about that? Oh, there was an article about Jeremy Strong, who you've seen in lots of stuff. He's on Succession, and about how he's a little much and he's over the top. And I think he worked with Dustin Hoffman or one of those guys and was like, have you tried acting?
Yeah.
Just like go home and don't take it with you.
I always find it peculiar when people put their weird emotional weaknesses out to the universe. Like, we had to act and I needed a trauma nurse with me because I've had to act. Like, okay, maybe that's true, but it makes you sound really fragile and freaky and weird.
Maybe acting isn't for you.
It's funny you mentioned that. Did you say, I was half listening, sorry, Dustin Hoffman?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it was him, but.
Okay, because that's funny, because Dustin Hoffman famously was in Marathon Man, where he had the tooth torture scene with Sir Laurence Olivier, maybe the greatest actor of all time. And Dustin Hoffman's this method actor from the new school, right? He's 30 years old, or whatever he is. And he's like staying up all night trying to get himself physically like, in shape.
That was in the article. Yes.
Yeah, and Olivier is like, you can always try acting.
Right.
Yeah, it's a pretty famous line.
Whatever,
you know what? That story was in the article, so maybe that's who I'm talking about. But it was in the Jeremy Strong article because that's kind of his style.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it would be nice.
Marathon Man was like a 70s film, and Dustin Hoffman's just running, but at some point, the evil dentist got hold of him. And that's all you really needed back in the day to go see a movie, like one weird scene.
That's all anyone remembers.
That's all.
Is it safe?
He's in a dental chair and someone's going at him. Yeah.
That's the movie?
No, it's a scene in the movie. You're torturing him.
Isn't Marathon Man also a Schwarzenegger movie?
That's the Running Man.
That's
Cheetah.
the
God damn
Running
it.
Man.
It's time to go home.
That is just Sub-Zero.
Thank God this year is over. This is fun for the kids. A staff member at a Washington, D.C. elementary school is under investigation after allegedly telling the third grade students to reenact incidents from the Holocaust. And that's according to the D.C. public school system. So the instructor allegedly assigned specific roles, and I think we know where this is going, to their library period in their library class. Casting one as Hitler, directing students to dig mass graves, simulating shooting victims.
Can I say this about the Holocaust and
I don't know.
the reenactments? And,
can you?
And a lot of slavery talk. Like, hey, if we don't coach everyone up, it's going to happen again.
Sure.
I'm like, I don't know. I don't feel like there's a good chance here we're going to reenact slavery or dust off slavery and or the Holocaust. I feel like we could go over it in a book, chapter. You know what I mean? Lots of shit has happened.
Touch on it.
Well, I'll get coached up.
Yeah.
I watched all 8 episodes of Roots. Had a grandfather who escaped the Holocaust. He gave me he tuned me up on what they were doing over there. And I got it.
We don't need to play make-believe in library class.
No, I got the info. Not going to reenact
Well,
that.
it seems like the teacher may have known they were up to something because they did ask all of the children not to tell anyone about this. So, of course, that's the first thing they do is they tell their homeroom teacher. This instructor placed on leave pending the investigation.
Was the person have some connection to the Holocaust? They have relatives?
Who knows?
Bougie, perhaps? Uncle Gabi?
Professor Kleinschmidt. Must have to wonder.
Well, I can't imagine this is happening today because back when I was in 3rd grade, they would show, especially in Hebrew school, which I would go to after school on 3 days a week, very faces of death shit, like violent old footage and
Shoah.
yeah, and really, and my parents were getting divorced. My home life was a mess. I had
This was your escape?
We were in a subterranean school, so we would just see out half the window into the parking lot. It was cold. It was Kansas. It was dark, and then they'd flip on the fucking VCR, and it's bodies being dumped into graves. And what I would do, my thing was, I always had to hold my house key because that was my like Dumbo feather. Like I'll be okay if I know at some point I can get home. And I would have like stigmata, ironically. And I was terrified. I can't imagine them doing that to kids today.
Wow.
8,
Gina.
9-year-olds. Hebrew school.
In a bunker.
Yes.
Hitler's bunker.
By the time they flipped it on in 7th grade, I had seen that shit 4 years ago.
Boring.
I know.
Yeah, I got all the stories from Grandpa who fled, but his sister was left behind, and they had his uncle was there, and everyone in his village was rounded up. So I got the
we're good.
I got the lowdown, early and often.
Yeah, and then that other horrible story, which we've talked about before. Now the kids going on the fucking, the birthright trips and the March of the Living, which you go to Poland for a week and then Israel for a week. And the selfies and the jump up and do a big, a double jump and woo! Mm-hmm. Because that's what kids
You're at
do.
Aunt Frank's house.
Yes.
Exactly.
Mm.
So let's put a cap on that. Do we have time for one more?
When it comes to Anne Frank, I'm still
lukewarm.
No, I am more angry. I'm less angry at the Nazis than I am at the guy who dropped the dime.
Right. The neighbor.
Nazis were doing what Nazis do.
Right. That's what Nazis do.
You could have kept walking.
The neighbor's like, hey, I can get an extra loaf of bread if I just tell him there's a 13-year-old cowering up in the attic here. Well, I know the war's about over, but...
she was afraid for her life anyway,
Always a little room in the oven. Come on now. Oh, I'll take that bread.
It's a poor choice of words.
Yeah, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah. No, you're right.
I would watch a movie on the dude who dropped the dime on Anne Frank.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have, I feel like I should know this, do we have info on
probably not.
Who did that?
No, I remember, I don't, but it wasn't like the Nazi, Gestapo went and found her. I think they were told someone's up there.
Right.
Right.
See if a quick Google search yields anything.
And then Christoph Waltz showed up and he wanted some buttermilk. And the rest is history. Mm-hmm.
Otto Frank suggested the culprit was Willem von Maren, a warehouse employee who was in on the secret.
Yeah.
We'll see. This is something that I think you not only will appreciate, but I think you might want to be the tool czar around here and perhaps establish something like this in Los Angeles. This is happening in Bridgeport, Illinois. They've got a tool library. More than 2,500 tools on the shelves for any of the 1,500 members of the library to use. It has grown so fast that it's run out of room for donations. The whole idea is you provide a bunch of tools for projects, you check them out, you use them, you bring them back.
Yeah. When that dude who made a big withdrawal from the tool library shows up to add a deck on to your house, send him packing. You don't want that fucker anywhere near your shit.
Right.
I don't trust the guy who doesn't have his own tools.
Not fresh tools.
More for DIYers, I would assume.
Yeah. I never really... now, do you have to pay or subscribe?
You're
or
a member. It's like a library card.
Oh, man.
You don't like it?
I don't know. I feel like tools are abundant, ubiquitous, and pretty cheap these days. I feel like there's some pride in ownership. These guys are going to have snot on the chucks, the batteries are never going to be charged.
Question, do you think this is more for chicks who have a newfound interest in DIY crafting, like from Pinterest?
I don't know. I feel like people, if you're a homeowner, especially if you're a homeowner, a lot of people are like, maybe I'll get the cordless drill, but how often would I use it? It's $69, bitch. Just go ahead and get it. You have a house. There's a garage attached to it. Just go get a couple of rudimentary tools and have them there. Well, I could borrow the tape measure from my neighbor. My father-in-law has a tape measure. There's the
you
tape
have scissors. You have tape.
Yeah, tape measures are $6 now. Just go get a 25-footer, please.
So I think the takeaway is fuck this tool library.
It'd be a fun place to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would like the angriest I've ever made another individual is doing Ask Mr. Hardware and walking around a hardware store and talking to guys who had like a 4-in-1 screwdriver or a wrapper stapler or something, a hammer stapler or something, and just explaining that's too much tool for you. And how weird and indignant and challenged.
It's pretty humiliating.
But if I was the librarian at the tool place, anyone who tried to check anything out, I'd just go, we understand. We don't want you to hurt yourself. So obviously, I'm not going to frisk you or ask for your contractor's license or anything. But I don't know. What's the difference between a pan head and a flathead screw?
Just give me my fucking tool, man.
Maybe a little too much tool for you, sir. Perhaps you...
be more comfortable.
Fine, you'd be more comfortable in the hand tools. This thing has a blade and it turns. It's powered.
That's a good point.
You take out an eye.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what system I bet they use to check stuff out? The DeWalt decimal system.
Oh, solid. All right, we're going out on that, Gina.
I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Gina Grad. That was the news with Gina Grad.
All right. Well, Portland coming up, man. Is that tomorrow and Thursday? Yeah, if you want to come on out, 4 shows, like we said. Doing a earlier show at Brea, December 31st, doing a New Year's Eve show, stand-up show there if you want to come out and say hi and that. Wow. You go to Carolla.com for all the live shows and Shooter Jennings and Jason Boland and The Light Saw Me. The Light Saw Me, available wherever you listen to finer music. And until next time, it's Adam Carolla for Shooter Jennings and Jason Boland, Gina Grad, Ball Bryan saying mahalo. And I said it's no different than like a fine artist. Like, what if you just sat down and you got your easel and your canvas out and you put a bowl of fruit down and you painstakingly painted this bowl of fruit and you sat there for all this time perfecting it. And then at the very end, a black guy with a huge cock just came in and just jizzed all over your canvas.